At the very end of Chayei, Pasuk says, "Vayihi achrei Mois Avrohom v'yivarech Elokim es Yitzchak b'noi, v'yeshiv Yitzchak im be'er la'chayroi." So it's interesting that after the death of Avram, HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed Yitzchak. Rashi picks up on this issue that that it was HaKadosh Baruch Hu that blessed Avram and not that blessed Yitzchak, and not Avram that blessed Yitzchak. And says Rashi, Af b'shemos HaKadosh Baruch Hu es habrachos Avram nishori levarech es Yitzchak. So incredibly, despite the fact that Avram knew the exact purpose of what Yitzchak represented in this world, he knew that Yitzchak was the progeny that was going to ultimately produce Klal Yisrael. It was obvious from everything that was going on, the Akedah and just the whole promise, Bris Ben Absarim, it was definitely clearly identified and articulated from the fact that he chased Yishmael, he sent Yishmael away. So he said, so why couldn't he? So why couldn't he bless Yitzchak? So Rashi said, "Shetzofa es Esav yotzimenu." So he said, because he saw that to give a bracha directly to Yitzchak would be problematic, because he saw that Esav was going to come out of Yitzchak. So Rashi gives us one perspective, which is also very interesting, that there's so much as certainly as a father, you feel compelled, especially if you imagine putting ourselves in Avram Avinu's shoes, even if we're not, the idea of blessing our children, and certainly at the end of our lives, to give them whatever we can for their continued success, to walk away and to not bless Yitzchak. I mean, he knew that Yitzchak, while maybe yes, there'll be an Esav, but also be a Yaakov. And why not give the brachas and just, it's not a natural, fatherly emotion that you want to take care of your son. You want to give him whatever you can. And if somebody comes out of there that's maybe not so appropriate, but the ones who are able to receive that bracha and utilize it and take it to the next level, then that's what you should do. But again, you see, and this is something that maybe from a different Chazal we'll see even in more powerful terms, the ultimate perspective that needs to guide our lives is Yavav bala brachas v'yavarech hashitav beinav. At the end of the day, no matter what we do, and no matter however important we think something is, and however close it is to our hearts in terms of naturally, instinctively wanting to do something, the perspective needs to be Yavav bala brachas. At the end of the day, if there's something inappropriate that I'm doing, that's going to result from my actions, to bless an Esav, which shouldn't happen, because who knows, again, to be able to see the bigger picture of what a bracha of Yitzchak would have meant from HaKadosh Baruch, from Avram Avinu. Therefore, he felt he couldn't do it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bless Yitzchak, then anyways, and Esav going to be blessed. That's his world. He knows, he has the complete picture, and he knows the idea of being willing to give ourselves over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to allow him to sort of run the world instead of sort of feeling we're in control. It's something that needs to be constantly reinforced. It's so easy for us. And that's where bitachon comes in, the idea of understanding that all we are doing ultimately in our lives is the ishtadlus to do the right thing. We don't really control the end game and the ultimate results. And if we recognize that, then it's easy to pull back. There's a medrash that says something a little bit different along the same lines, that he didn't want to bless Yitzchak, because if you bless Yitzchak, how do you bless Yitzchak without blessing Yishmael? How do you give one brother a bracha, not the other bracha, or the other brother? So he therefore said, same idea. I can't bless, if I bless Yitzchak, I got to bless Yishmael. Okay, no, so bless Yishmael too. I can't bless Yishmael because he's not Baruch. He can't receive brachas. He's not fitting for the bracha, so I can't bless him. Okay, so then if he's not fitting, just bless Yitzchak. But then again, I can't because it's improper. It's a lack of midos. I'm a father. I have to be sensitive to both my children. But what do you mean you have to be sensitive to both your children? But the future of Klal Yisrael is at stake. He needs your bracha. And the Medrash ends with the same concept of Yova Bal Brachas V'Varach Zashita Beinov. Let the Bala Habracha come. Let HaKadosh Baruch Hu come, and let him be the one to give the brachas. And again, here it's maybe even a bigger chiddush because what's really seemingly guiding Avraham Avinu in not giving Yitzchak, again, such a natural desire to want to bless Yitzchak. Here he recognizes, okay, I like to bless Yitzchak. Who wouldn't feel he needs to bless Yitzchak? But I can't bless Yishmael. Okay, so no, it's okay. So no, you bless one without the other. I mean, Yishmael needs to recognize who he is. He's not Yitzchak. He's a totally different being, going to lead a totally different nation. Okay, in almost opposite directions. Okay, so do what you need to do. Bless Yitzchak. It's so critical. The future of the world depends on it. No, well, no. It seems that the future of the world depends on it, but you know what? I don't run the world. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's department. And if it's a question of midos, some kind of indiscretion, impropriety that I'm going to do, and it's a slight one. I mean, Yishmael certainly recognizes. It says the end of Yishmael's life that he let Yitzchak go before him, right? Mikan shasa tshuva. We know Yishmael did tshuva at that point of his life because the fact that he let Yitzchak go in front of him is a sign that he did tshuva and that he recognized Yitzchak's status in the world. So what's the big deal? No, but I'm going to be a pogeya somehow in the covet of Yishmael. I can't do it. I can't take an older brother and make it so clear, even though it's abundantly clear. But again, it's an indication that this is something that we just cannot do, and therefore, since you cannot do it, Yavi Bal Brachos. It's this perspective that really needs something we have to constantly reinforce, because again it becomes tough in the hustle and bustle and the pressures of life. Then there's so much of what we feel we need to do this. How can I not do this? I must do this. And sometimes we forget who really runs the show. This reinforces and reminds us that even Avraham Avinu, with the biggest issues at stake, was not willing to cross that line of doing something that is slightly inappropriate, or slightly, whether it be in Rashi's pshat, that I can't bless Yitzchak because of Yaakov, or I can't bless Yitzchak because of Yishmael, because that I'm going to have to bless Yishmael. That when that comes, we have to be ready to back away. You have to be ready to say, okay, so I'm not the Baal Brachos here. Let me leave it up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to decide what happens, and that's the honest picture. That's recognizing the big picture. The Rishiva gave another example of this concept by Mordechai, where Mordechai was Yoshev B'Shar Melech, the idea of just doing the right thing and leaving it up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He pointed out the Rashi, that the steer in Rashi, where on the one hand Mordechai is outside the gate to see the Yad Hashem unfold, and that's why he's sitting by Shar Melech. On the other hand, the same Rashi says in the very next pasuk that he told her not to divulge her background. So why? What's the reason? So Rashi brings the reason, many reasons, but Rashi brings the one reason that he wanted her to get out of there. He wanted to get thrown out. So if he told her not to divulge her background and where she came from, so that Achashverosh should think there's some hidden scandal in her past, and where it's a scandal lurking or waiting to unfold. And who needs a scandal? He'll decide. I don't need this headache. I don't know what Esther's background is. Who knows where she came from, and what kind of headlines is going to be tomorrow. With fake news and that. So it's going to be out there. I don't need the headache. So he sort of strategized that the best way to get her thrown out of the palace would be to have her not divulge her background and to make her appear that there's something to hide. So what's going on? I mean, you just said you're sitting by the gate to see the Yad Hashem unfold because he knew that if a tzaddikus like this would be in his house, in his palace, it must be to unfold some incredible Yad Hashem. So Rishiva pointed out, what do you mean? If you're there to see the incredible unfolding of the Yad Hashem, then what are you getting her kicked out of the palace for? Just let her be in the palace and let the Yad Hashem unfold. So what are you doing? The teretz is, it's exactly what he was doing, is exactly what he should be doing, because it's not your world. So if she's stuck in the palace, it's for a reason. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, and we'll have to see how it unfolds. But what's my job? My job is not to make too many cheshbonos. My job is to do the Ratzon Hashem. And the Shulchan Aruch says that a woman who's in the palace of a Goyish king, you got to get her out. So I'm not here to make, to take on the world's whole direction and to determine that because of, her being there, I'm going to back away now from the Shulchan Aruch and say, let her stay. No, our job is to do the right thing. Our job is not to run the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. So this perspective, if we have it, Bez Hashem, it leads us to always really get back to being grounded and making the right decisions and not giving ourselves too much self-importance and too much control over the world. Our job here is to do the right thing. That's what Avram calculated. I got to do the right thing. I can't bless Yitzchak without blessing Yishmael, and I can't bless Yishmael because he's not blessed, and I can't cross that line. So I back away, and I recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. It's a concept of bitachon and amunah that certainly, if we can reinforce and live our lives this way, would certainly allow us to be successful and constantly go michayil l'chayil.